I still have my press credentials. They sit in a drawer in my new office. Leather, embossed, expensive. No one has asked for them back. No one ever will. My name is Vikram Sen. I was the editor-in-chief of one of the largest news networks in this country. I am also a convicted extortionist, a money launderer, and a man who used national security credentials to protect an empire built on fear. I served 14 months in Tihar Jail. I have been out for 3 years now. And I am telling you this not because I feel guilt. I am telling you this because I want you to understand how easily the line disappears. I grew up in a village on the banks of the Ganges. No electricity until I was 12. No running water until I was 15. My father worked someone else's land for less than $1 a day. He wanted me to become a clerk, a government job, a pension, a life of predictable smallness. I wanted something else. I wanted to be the person who decided what people read, what they believed, who they trusted, and who they despised. I moved to Lucknow for university, studied journalism at night while working during the day. I was not the smartest person in any room, but I was the hungriest. And hunger looks like ambition until it doesn't. My first job was an internship at a small news channel in Lucknow. They paid me nothing. I slept on a friend's floor. I ate 1 meal a day. But I learned something valuable. Information is currency. Not stories, not truth. Information. A draft income tax notice before it becomes public. A pending investigation before the accused knows about it. A corporate balance sheet that has not been filed yet. People will pay for that. Not with money always. With access, with loyalty, with silence when you need it most. I was 24 when I first understood this. I was 25 when I first acted on it. The first deal was small. A real estate developer in Mumbai had received a notice from the income tax department. A routine audit, nothing criminal. But the notice contained details about offshore accounts he had not disclosed. I obtained a draft copy through a source in the department. I did not publish it. I called the developer instead. I told him I was writing a story about undisclosed foreign assets. I told him I had documents. I told him I was willing to hold the story if he agreed to sit for an interview. He understood immediately. They always understand. He paid my channel 2 crore rupees for a sponsored segment that never aired. The money went into an account I controlled through a shell company. The notice never became a story. The developer never complained. And I learned that extortion does not require threats. It requires implication. I told myself I was helping people. That is the lie that sustained me for 15 years. I told myself the developers and businessmen I targeted were corrupt anyway, that they deserved to lose money, that I was simply redistributing wealth from the guilty to the ambitious. But the guilty never looked guilty. They looked like fathers, like men who had built something from nothing, like people who had made compromises I had no right to judge. One of them cried on the phone with me, a real estate developer from Pune. He had borrowed money from his brother to start his first project. He had 2 children in college. He begged me not to publish the documents I had obtained about a tax discrepancy from 7 years earlier. I published them anyway. Not because the story mattered, because he had stopped returning my calls. His company went under within 6 months. I do not know what happened to his children. I do not want to know. By my 30s, I had built a system. I had sources inside the Income Tax Department, the Enforcement Directorate, the Corporate Affairs Ministry. I paid them small amounts monthly, $5,000, $10,000, enough to ensure they remembered my name when something useful crossed their desks. I had shell companies registered in Delhi, Mumbai, and Singapore. Each one had a different director, a different bank account, a different paper trail that led nowhere. I had a list of targets. Businessmen with hidden assets, corporations with unresolved tax disputes, developers with benami properties registered in the names of relatives. I never threatened anyone directly. I simply offered a solution, a sponsored story, a consultancy agreement, a strategic partnership that would protect their reputation while enriching mine. The money flowed through fake invoices, 15 crore here, 20 crore there, washing itself clean through contracts no one ever read. I was not a journalist anymore. I was a landlord collecting rent from fear. The airport pass changed everything. I obtained it through a contact at a private aviation company, a man who owed me a favor. He listed me as a director of quality control, a position that did not exist. The paperwork moved through 3 government offices. No one checked. No one ever checks. With that pass, I could walk into any airport in the country. The secure zones, the tarmac, the areas where diplomats and politicians and criminals moved without cameras. I did not use it for anything illegal at first. I used it to build relationships. A conversation with a minister in a VIP lounge. A document handed over in a secure corridor. A photograph taken where phones were not allowed. Each interaction made me more valuable. Each interaction made me harder to touch. I became a media executive during this time. Not a reporter, an executive. I managed budgets. I hired anchors. I decided which stories ran and which stories died. The power was intoxicating. I could destroy a politician with a single segment. I could rehabilitate a criminal with a soft focus interview. I could make a corporate raid disappear by assigning the story to the wrong producer. People came to me with offerings, real estate, cars, overseas trips, jobs for relatives I had never met. I accepted everything. I refused nothing. By the time I turned 40, I had accumulated assets worth more than 100 crore rupees. Penthouses in Delhi, apartments in Noida, mutual funds in my sister's name, gold in a locker no one knew existed. I also had a wife who had stopped asking questions, and a daughter who thought I was a hero. The arrest happened in the morning, May 2018. I was at home, drinking tea, reading the newspaper, my newspaper, the one I controlled. The doorbell rang. I opened it to 12 officers from the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate. They had a warrant. They had files. They had everything. I did not resist. I asked if I could finish my tea. They said no. My daughter was in the other room. She heard the commotion. She came to the door. She asked what was happening. I did not answer. I could not answer. because the truth would have required words I had never said out loud. And I did not want her to hear them for the first time from me. Tihar Jail was not what I expected. I expected violence, desperation, the collapse of everything I had built. Instead, I found bureaucracy, forms, counts, meal times, lockdowns. The other inmates treated me carefully. They knew who I was. They knew what I had done. They did not trust me, but they did not harm me either. I spent the first month in shock, not because I was afraid, because I had nothing to do. No calls to make, no deals to broker, no stories to kill or publish. Just silence. And the slow realization that my power had always been borrowed. The investigation expanded while I sat in my cell. They found the shell companies, the fake invoices, the money trail that led from Mumbai to Delhi to Singapore. They found the airport pass. They found photographs of me in secure zones where I had no business being. They found everything. The prosecution built a case across 3 major criminal activities: extortion, money laundering, national security breaches. My lawyers argued I was being targeted for my investigative journalism. They said the enforcement directorate was retaliating because I had exposed their corruption during the 2G Spectrum scandal. It was a good defense. It was also a lie. I was granted bail after 14 months. The judge cited lack of evidence on some charges, insufficient proof on others. But everyone knew the truth. I had made deals. Information for leniency, testimony for freedom, names of other journalists, other executives, other men who had built empires on the same foundation of fear. I do not feel proud of this. I do not feel ashamed either. I feel empty. The day I walked out of Tihar, no one from my old life came to meet me. No politicians, no businessmen, no sources from the income tax department. They had all moved on. They had found other journalists, other editors, other men willing to collect rent from fear. I was replaceable. I had always been replaceable. I built a new news network after my release. Bharat Express. New name, new office, new team. The same model. I tell myself it is different now, that I operate within the law, that I have learned my lesson. But the shell companies still exist. The sources still call. The files still arrive before they should. And every morning I sit in my leather chair and look at my press credentials. The same credentials I use to walk into secure zones. The same credentials that should have been revoked. No one has asked for them back. No one ever will. You want to know the worst part? Not the extortion, not the money laundering, not the security breach. The worst part is that I am still respected. Young journalists ask me for advice. Politicians invite me to their events. Businessmen want to be seen with me. They know what I did. They do not care. Because in this country, in this profession, in this world, consequences are for people without connections. I have connections. I always have. My daughter is in college now. She studies law, She wants to be a prosecutor. I paid for her tuition with money I cannot fully explain. She does not ask where it came from. She does not ask about Tihar. She does not ask about the airport pass, or the shell companies, or the developers who lost everything. She calls me every Sunday. She tells me she loves me. I believe her. I do not know if I deserve it. I have been out for 3 years. I have built a new empire. I have hired hundreds of journalists. I have launched newspapers and television channels and digital platforms. And every night, I sit alone in my penthouse in Delhi. The lights of the city stretch beneath me. The same city I terrorized. The same city that forgave me. I think about the developer from Pune, the one who cried on the phone. I think about his children. I wonder if they finished college. I will never know. The press credentials are still in the drawer. Leather, embossed, expensive. They mean nothing now. They meant nothing then. Power is not in the badge. Power is in the willingness to use it. I was willing. I am still willing. The only difference is that now I am more careful. My name is Vikram Sen. I am a convicted extortionist, a money launderer, a man who compromised national security for access. I served 14 months in Tihar Jail. I am still standing. I am still publishing. And I am still collecting rent from fear. The only thing that has changed is that now I admit it.